Good evening, everyone, and welcome to ILADD's informational workshop. I'm Tom Easterday. I have the privilege of being the current president of ILADD. Before we begin our program this evening, I'm going to give you a very quick overview of ILADD. I know a lot of you are already very familiar with us, but I want to talk a little bit about some of the programs that we have got going on right now. And in addition to that, just a few items I want to mention too concerning things over at that table before we get started. So first of all, let me give you just a quick overview of ILADD. I think, again, most of you are familiar. We started in late 2019, just before the pandemic hit. And we have a three-pronged mission. It's to provide housing, enrichment, and educational programs and social options that enable adults with developmental or intellectual disabilities to live in homes of their own and enjoy fulfilling and meaningful lives in their communities. And our program committee and program manager have done a fantastic job of implementing a variety of programs over the past year. And I'm going to talk about those in a little bit of detail in just a moment. I do want to point out, though, that we currently actually have 3 self-advocates serving on our board of directors. And we're fortunate to have one of them with us here tonight, Justin Reed. Justin, you want to stand up? Justin's one of the 3 self-advocates on our board of directors. Thank you, Justin. You can see the other 2, Katie Shaw and Alec Hurtubise, and it's great to have all 3 of them serving on our board of directors. We have a lot of enrichment and educational programming going on. I'm going to touch on some of those very briefly. We've got a book club that meets every Wednesday evening at Panera, and we socialize for a little bit of time, and then we continue to read books. Right now we're reading A Wrinkle in Time. It's a very interesting book. ILADD also has a hiking club that hikes once every month. We meet on the 3rd Sunday, and we hike at various parks. We've been to Starkey Nature Park this year. We're going to be at Eagle Creek Park this Sunday at 1 o'clock, if anyone would like to join us. Might be a little muddy this weekend, but it's going to be fun hiking. Temperature is supposed to hit 50 on Sunday, so we'll see. And also, we've been to several state parks, Fort Harrison State Park, Shade State Park, McCormick's Creek, and others. So we get around for a lot of great hiking. And again, that's this Sunday is the February hike at 1 o'clock. ILADD also has game nights. They are a lot of fun. They are on the 2nd and 4th Thursdays of each month, and they are at Amore in Zionsville. And we do a lot of socializing, a lot of playing of different games there, everything from Uno to bingo to just a variety of different games, Jenga, and a whole bunch more. In addition, we offer a social outing once per quarter, along with a variety of independent living classes. Right now, a relationships class is going on. We also have planned this year a safety class, cooking class, and probably some others toward the end of the year. So our self-advocates can learn independent living skills, and that's really a major prong, as I said earlier, of ILADD's mission, to help everyone, all individuals with IDD that are willing to come in and learn and help enhance those skills for independent living. We're there for them. For the parents, guardians, caregivers, and of course our self-advocates, and really anyone interested in the community, we have these informational workshops, and these are presented on a quarterly basis, and they're followed up by today. We have the Family Connect meeting, and the Family Connect meetings are held 2 weeks after the informational workshop. I guess we're calling them informational seminars now, not workshops, so our informational seminars. So again, those are on a quarterly basis. I won't go through all the other things here on the slides, but I did want to quickly go to the 3rd prong I mentioned at the outset. We present educational and enrichment programs as well as social opportunities and outreach. And the 3rd prong is housing, and we are working on acquiring land right now for, these are just conceptual drawings, but for a community where we'll have both individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities as well as those that do not have disabilities living together. And of course, we'll encourage all of the individuals with IDD that live in this community to go out and participate actively in their community, whether it be for work, for enjoyment, for educational purposes or whatever. But in addition to our programming, we certainly will be encouraging them and help them learn the skills so they can go out into the community on their own and lead those active, fulfilling, and meaningful lives. So again, just a few conceptual drawings of Crossbridge Point. You can learn more about ILADD and Crossbridge Point at our website if you've not visited already. It's iladdinc.org, iladdinc.org, or of course crossbridgepoint.org also is the website to go to for more information about Crossbridge Point itself. And you can also submit a form there that is an interest form, and that will keep you on the emailing list for Crossbridge Point. Over at the table over here, we also have some additional information that I encourage you to pick up about ILADD. We also have some information on how you can help support ILADD through the Kroger Rewards program and also through the Amazon Smiles program. If you're feeling really generous tonight, we also have a donor card and return envelope over there for you. If you have not already signed in, I would encourage you to do that. You can do that through the QR code we have also over at the table over here. Please help yourself. We've got water and snacks over there. And also, we encourage you to complete the program survey too. And that's the information about what you learned at this event and how we did in presenting the event. Again, watch our webpage or our Facebook page. There is going to be additional information about our April informational seminar and also the Family Connect program that will follow up 2 weeks after that. The topic in April will be mental health awareness. So a very important topic and one that's been talked about a lot lately. So with that, I do want to again thank our presenters for this evening and also our program committee who has done a fantastic job of presenting the whole plan of programs, a variety, a great mix of programs, again, both for individuals with IDD and also for the parents, the caregivers, and members of the community. So thank you all for being here this evening. I'm going to turn it back over to our program manager, Michelle Gray, and she will introduce our presenters, and we'll get on with the Family Connect meeting. Again, thank you for being here for the Family Connect meeting this evening.
Hello. Thank you all for joining us. I'm especially excited to see so many self-advocates with us tonight because, as we all know, that's the whole point of these presentations is to gain information about how to assist these self-advocates. And it's not a job that's just done by parents or by the self-advocates alone. So we're happy to, ILADD is very focused on trying to make sure that everybody understand that's a journey that you guys are doing together, and we want to facilitate and offer as much information and support as we can along that journey with you. So Tom has already mentioned that we have snacks and water over there. Please feel free to get up and help yourself to those anytime you want throughout the program. We're pretty informal. I want to say thank you to Dominic Rossi, our audiovisual engineer, for making a virtual opportunity for us, because with the weather tonight and just COVID and any number of other things, lots of people are choosing to watch remotely. So we want to make a big thank you to Dominic for making that happen for our program committee. So tonight we're going to talk about promoting independence and specific ways that you can assist your self-advocate, or that the self-advocate can identify ways that they can grow to move on to the next level, whatever that could be for them. For some of them it will be living independently, and for some of them it's gaining more skills and living exactly where they might be right now. So whatever that looks like for you guys, we want to be able to help you on that journey. So our next presenter, we actually have 3 groups of presenters tonight, and our first one is from the IUPUI site program, and we want to welcome Ms. Maggie Brown and Miss Gwen Chesterfield, who both work with this program. Maggie actually is a graduate of Zionsville High School and has been in the Zionsville area since the 80s. Then went on to Purdue. She wrote Go Boilers. I'm not sure if I can say that or not, but she has been teaching since '96 in a variety of settings: hospitals, elementary, middle school, high schools, post-secondary, home schools, school for the blind and visually impaired. And she's been with the IPS/IUPUI site transition program for 9 years. Peter Sima, who is one of our self-advocates who works with us, has actually participated in that program, and it's exceptional. She also has 5 children of her own, ages 8 to 23, so she is a very busy lady, and has a very big passion for people with developmental disabilities and working on the post-secondary opportunities for those individuals. And then we have Gwen Chesterfield, and I'm not sure we have a long enough night to include all of her accolades, but she is currently an education and human services consultant in Indianapolis, and she is actually the co-founder of the IPS IUPUI site program here in Indianapolis. She does private practice currently, and before that, she was a high school special ed teacher and director of the largest adult day program in Indiana, and has been the assistant director of special ed in 2 different school districts. So she went to IU and Purdue. So she's a little bit more balanced. She has also worked as a Medicaid waiver case manager for 9 years. So she comes with all kinds of experience in different roles and different settings. So we would like to welcome both Maggie and Gwen to the mic to share information.
Thank you so much for having us. This is really exciting to be a part of this evening, to see Peter, to see some other familiar faces, and to just be a part of such an amazing group of people. And just this vision is wonderful, and it's just something we're so passionate about. So, you know, when Michelle reached out and thank you, asked us to speak, it was like, well, gosh, we love to speak about this. This is something that, you know, drives us. So we're like, well, how are we going to go about talking about a topic in 15 to 20 minutes? And so bear with us, because I hope we get through it all. If not, I know that you're going to have access to this this slideshow. So anyway, so we decided we just call this, you know, promoting the I in independence, and the I really stands out. It really means like individuals, individualized. Everything needs to be very individualized. So as we're kind of going through this presentation tonight, let's just kind of remember that. It also reminds us that independence is so, it's all about self, it's all about how we feel about ourselves, and you know, again, just promoting that.
So these are 2 men currently in at the side program, and they were very happy to talk about what independence means to them.
Sorry, guys.
We can get in their voices, which was very cool.
Yeah. There's always a glitch, right? We always talk in our program like plan A, then we go to a plan B, right, Peter? You've heard us talk about that. Well, anyway, you'll get this. This is Michael and Jaden, and they were just talking about what independence means to them. So, okay, so we won't read through all of these, but I think in a nutshell, you know, independence to our students means that they are learning how to advocate for themselves, speak up for themselves, you know, rely on themselves, doing what's meaningful to them. So all of our students have a very individualized schedule that they're following on campus. They're learning how to be a leader. They are following their own schedule, setting their own timers, getting around on campus and in the community. And it really just comes down to that confidence piece, you know, believing in yourself. And oftentimes, I mean, gosh, I'm 47. I'm not afraid to say that. And I think every year, you know, we're continuing to work on ourselves and develop that confidence. And I think one of the reasons, you know, like Gwen's here and we have another teacher, Amanda, and she was going to be here, is because it does take that team, you know, it does take that tribe, that village to promote and just to encourage. You know, we all have to encourage each other. So, you know, it's really exciting to look around the room and to know there are people joining us online who are just trying to, you know, better themselves in that role, you know, as somebody who can walk alongside another person, and then to all the self-advocates that you're learning, you know, more and more about yourself all the time, so that you can be all of these things, you know, and just continue to do more and more. Not that you're not these things already, because you are.
And that we're all a work in progress, basically. Yeah. Every one of us is a work in progress and when we take something on that we're not sure about, and it kind of scares us sometimes. I'm speaking for myself. I learned how to scuba dive. It scared me to death. I really didn't want to do it. I was really, really petrified. And I think it relates to this a lot, but I stuck with it, and it still scared me, but I got through it to the point where I actually enjoyed it, and then I was so proud of myself. So you guys you feel, Peter, everybody sitting here, can you think of something you took on like that, where you just said, I'm not sure? It could have been making some new meal for dinner, or decorating a cake. It can be anything. And then you just tackle it, you grab onto it and you say, I'm gonna try, not sure how it's gonna work out. And then you go, wow, look what I did. And that's what Maggie's talking about with confidence. Building confidence, and it just keeps, confidence begets confidence begets confidence. But it involves getting into a territory you're maybe not real used to. And I've been in this field a very, very long time. And one of the things I know when I think back when I first started is when we talked about independence, we were pretty old-fashioned back then, and we talked a lot about what we would call daily living things. Are you independent in, taking your shower? Are you independent in setting a table? I'm not trying to diminish all that stuff, but do any of us get excited about doing those things? I don't. I don't know about the rest of you. But now when I think about how we see independence in terms of, I love the relying on yourself, learning that you can rely on yourself. And that might be knowing who to call when you need a little help. It might be using your cell phone and having somebody help you with a system that works for you. We all have systems that work for us. So it made me reflect on how different I think about independence now than I did as a young professional when I first started teaching. But I say that, but I still see that in our field a lot. That there's a great deal of focus, hyper-focus on certain things over and over again, and maybe not some of those more exciting things of how do you bust out on your own a little bit? How do you build a social life? How do you make new friends? How do you try some new things that you may love and you may not, but you won't know if you don't try? That wasn't on that slide, sorry. We didn't want to read to you.
Yeah.
Love these pictures.
So our program is on the campus of IUPUI, and like I said, we have 16 students in our cohort. They come from different IPS schools in different communities around Indianapolis, and it's just a very vibrant, exciting place. And I'm sure Peter, you could agree with that, right? You loved being on campus. Can I say that? Yeah.
I can't believe it.
You can't believe it, yeah.
No.
So
It is a vibrant place.
it is a vibrant place, and it's a great place to have this post-secondary program because it gets students just completely out of their comfort zone. As we can, all of us who went to college can remember that first year being away, how nervous we were. There were so many new people you're meeting, new classes, new activities. And so they're just kind of thrown into that environment, and it's just like beautifully inclusive place. It's very welcoming. And these are just some pictures. I wanted to throw a few in this presentation so you can kind of see how students access NIFs and attend classes, go to the library, do assignments, research, applications, that sort of thing. But again, working on those things down below, they're becoming more reliable and making decisions on their own and learning how to advocate for themselves and being that leader.
I think one of the things that struck me is that has been a real asset to this particular location and being in a university is that for our students to recognize that they aren't the only people that are kind of nervous and scared to death when they first get to campus. And that's cool. See, I think sometimes people, with disabilities think, that everyone knows what they're doing, because we're teaching people, we're instructing people. But when they look around at these other young adults and middle adults on campus who don't have a clue how to get to certain buildings, don't know where they're going, and it's a universal experience when you first go to a school. And it's probably, it's not always that way on a job though, is it? Because you might be the only new employee. So you look around and everybody else kind of knows what they're doing, and it's like, I'm the only one who doesn't really know. And that's different than when you get there and you realize that, oh, this is a typical life experience that you jump in and you don't quite know. But by the time you're done with a year or even a semester, it's all different. All of a sudden, you're in the know, you're feeling comfortable, and you're the one that's helping other people around and showing them around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I like that. So you really have to, you have to get out of your comfort zone. I think that's something that we would just encourage everyone to do. Get out your comfort zone and really try new things, because a lot of our students that come to us have never done a cycling class or have never done yoga, aren't in a first aid class, haven't had an opportunity to be by themselves, like, for example, in the library. I'm just using that because that picture's up there. But those are all things that, those are going to help them as they exit our program and either go to another program or just transition, into something else in their life, all of these things that they're learning how to do.
Yep. Determined, I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
determined. When I look at him, I'm thinking that too.
So, the transportation is a big issue out on campus. We teach students how to ride the city bus and get around, but we also teach them how to walk places. So, that whatever your community looks like you need to think about how you're going to access that. We've taught a student how to take Uber to and from places. So I think you really just need to look at that. And maybe it's you rely on a caregiver to drive you to and from, or you rely on a carpool. But I think making those plans and taking ownership of that. So Christian, he, right at this point, he has support from his mom to make those his travel plans. But he is answering the phone right now. So that's been faded. So when Open Door calls him, he's now answering those calls and mom's not doing that. So we're fading a little bit because at one point, he would like to be able to make those trips for himself and go visit his girlfriend or go to the mall or, do something on his own. So we're really just having that system of communication is very critical and just a key piece. Because a lot of times we don't have something that we use. Like maybe mom and dad have something and they use a notebook or they use a calendar and they organize everything for us. But if we don't know how that works and we're not doing that ourselves, then, if you're not doing it, then, if you don't use it, you lose it kind of thing.
Exactly
so you really
right.
have to be practicing that, modeling that, and allowing, the self-advocates, our students, to do that on their own.
Yep. Does that mean our time's up?
Okay, yeah, I know, right?
Subtle.
We're on
Oh.
slide 6,
I just
yeah.
wonder.
We can kind of
So why
highlight.
is we talk about independence all the time, but it's so helpful to for me when I sit back and think, well, why do we think this is so important? And the big one is how empowering it is for people. We talked about that a few minutes ago. Maggie talks about it all the time. It's just part of her passion, self-esteem and self-confidence. The thing that I've seen when a person is provided, and whatever it may be, in our world here, it's sight. There's other places where within different communities, and you are developing these things where we can continue to develop opportunities for people to be more self-reliant. But it's amazing how quickly people respond to that. And I'm speaking as a professional that has been in the field for a while. It blew my mind that 1 year what I could see in the difference in some people. Every year, what have we been 16 years at this? Every year to see in my mind's eye the person that started this program, a student, in July, and then see him at the end of the year. It's just astounding to me. And I know if you could measure confidence and self-esteem. It's hard to measure, but it's something we have to think about. It's respected by others. People are impressed by independence, aren't they? When somebody surprises them and what their mentality is, whatever it may be, that what you may be able to do or maybe not able to do, and they see you being on your own more, they see you figuring things out, they see you alone on a bus or in an Uber or whatever, how you're getting around. It's like impressive. And it can remove some barriers in that way, and social barriers, because one of the things we know is that we having friendships and making friends with people, a lot of that can start by sort of that leveling of the playing field. No, I'm not a person that always needs assistance and help and support. I'm a person that's pretty good at this, that, and the other, and you may not be as good at that, but I could help you with that. When we have students that can teach their teachers how to take the bus from the campus back to the high school, isn't that an empowering experience, right? So it's such a big issue. But the last thing I need to say is this to parents, to you parents, to staff people. It's things are getting scarcer. Funds may be there, but people aren't. Staffing crisis is real. It's real every place. I'm the guardian of 2 men. I'm dealing with it all the time. And we can't always just so, well, you know, we'll assist. There may not be that assistance, or your life kind of shrinks. I worry about people's lives shrinking when parents are not able to do some of those things anymore, or there's not enough staff, or who drives them around, mom and dad or staff? Well, I don't have staff now. That has happened. And now what does that mean? I don't get to go to the Y anymore. I don't go to the library anymore because I haven't learned how to get there on my own. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And I don't see it getting a whole lot better. And it's sort of Debbie Downer, but it's the reality we live in. And that gives me such urgency to feel like we need to really push on this. I love the stuff you guys are doing along those lines too. We as a field and we as families and loved ones need to do that and realize how critical it is. And you know, I've been in adult services a long time, and I think people that, Michelle, you probably see this as well. Anybody I'm looking around the room, or that if you've been in the field for a while and walked through life, and you parents maybe have walking through life, the difference between being in school where there's all these social activities and things going on, and people get on the bus and they've got all this activity going around them, and high school's cool, and there's games and there's this and that, and it all comes to a screeching halt when they're done. And then all of a sudden, these are things I'm concerned about. One of the things I'm very passionate about is person-centered planning, and part of it, and one of the reasons when I'm going through getting to know, and some of you've been through it with me, this is in my head when I'm asking questions to learn about a person. Are you at risk of any of these common realities? Maybe a few, maybe all, maybe just a couple, and that's what motivates to action. So if we're saying, you know, who's your friend? When do you see them? How do you get together? And I see them in school, or I see them wherever, you know, an organized activity is, and I think, do you have a phone number? Do you know how to get a hold of them? Why am I asking all those questions? I'm not that nosy about that just for being nosy. I'm worried about you being bored and ultimately lonely and socially isolated at some point. And we need to rally and start to really address those things in the opportunities we provide people, and kind of open the world to people.
Okay, so, excuse me. You know, again, being independent, it all begins with you. So believing in yourself, celebrating yourself, setting goals, continuing to do that. Remember that you have a purpose and focusing on what's best for you, motivating yourself and taking care of yourself, staying away from things that are toxic and people who don't have the same vision, and leaning into your team. Okay, so hopefully everyone in this room feels like they are, you know, has a really solid team. It's something we really talk about in our program. Who's on your team when you're done with our program? You know, who can you lean into? And you know, do you feel confident enough? But again, that continues to develop throughout life, and everyone is, you know, in your own timeline. So what, you know. All 16 of our students are progressing differently, and we can't just lump them all together and say, oh, you should be here, when you know, we just have to really allow for them to develop as they are supposed to. And a lot of that does depend on, I think, the team that you have surrounding you. And you know, I'm a mom of 5, so I'm guilty of like doing things for my kids that I shouldn't do, right? I mean, because I don't have the time. But I think that can be detrimental if that just keeps going on and on and on. So you have to let your kids fail, and you can't cushion the fall, and you have to allow for those natural consequences. So a lot of that comes back to like me and my health. So I am like huge into whole health, and we talk about self-care plans with our students. So we're just going to focus on 3 tonight, just really the emotional, physical, and the social. But I really think that not only do self-advocates need to focus on this, but caretakers and family need to ask themselves these same questions, because whatever's holding you back, that is going to end up holding back the person that you're trying to take care of as well. So the more we know ourselves, the better then that we can give back. So like staying physically healthy, I think that this is something that we really push because we all know that the body-mind connection is huge. And so trying to talk to our students about how are you going to do this when you leave. You know, every day, how are you going to stay physically active? It doesn't matter what it is, but you know, whether or not it's weightlifting that you've never done before or dancing like Dominique is doing in that picture and just, you know, playing basketball with your friends. But again, like Gwen said, have you gone out and like made a list of all the places in your community? Have you gone in there and checked them out? Do you know what kind of classes and programs are available? Did someone drop you off or did they go in there with you? Are you really like knowledgeable about your options? Okay, have you researched them but then like gone in and tried them? And then you really know if that really fits for you. And if you don't want to go in, like try some of these things online. There are plenty of those options now. So you can just be at home and you can try Zumba or some of these other Pilates classes that our students did when we were virtual. But that's the exciting thing too. It's kind of like that moment where someone says, I had never done yoga, I love yoga, and we've all had those experiences as well when we've done new things. And then you make sure to incorporate that into their week of meaningful activities. So again, I think just that physical piece is huge. Oh yeah, here, trying new activities. Okay, we kind of talked about that. We've got amazing classes.
And giving it a fair shake, yeah, definitely.
Sorry, guys. Okay, then socially, this is a huge piece. How do you make those plans, first of all? You know, what does that entail? It means that you have to get someone's phone number, you've got to ask them for permission, you've got to make that call, you might need a script. You need, you know, we've even gone as far as putting it into somebody's calendar, like what day are you going to call and make the social plan with that person? Otherwise, life just gets busy, or the default might be, well, a caretaker or mom and dad's going to do that. So you really have to then say, no, it's in your schedule here to do, and we hold our students accountable. You know, have you done that? And if they haven't, we talk through, you know, what was going on? Do you need my support? What other system do we need in place for you? And then just all the phone etiquette. There was just so much when it comes to social planning.
It's rich, yes.
And that's just the one piece of planning the event. And then we're talking about the budgeting piece. Then we're talking about how to get around and meet out in the community using the city bus. So that's a really big piece as well. So I think some of our students are very social. You know, they're very energetic and spunky and like to be around a lot of people. So for them, you know, they want to continue getting out and meeting up with people. Like that is going to be a big part of them being independent. Once a week, twice a week. For someone like Latez there, reading a book in the library, that's his happy. You know, he doesn't need to be around a lot of people. So then I think it goes back to, we are so very different. Do you know who you are? Because I think sometimes we think, oh, there's this great group here. I think my son or daughter would be great in that group, but like maybe their personality isn't. Maybe they're an introvert and they don't like that. And so I think we, again, have to balance like what are our self-advocates and our students saying, and our kids saying to us, and what do we want and what do they want? Right. So, you know, and I have to have those same conversations with my students because I think they would be great in everything and they don't want it. So I have to step back. Say, okay. Another couple cute pictures. I know. You're like, we need to go. Okay, so
we get excited about talking about these things. Yes.
Okay, just going back to like exploring your area, wherever that is, and how you're going to get around. I can't stress on that enough. Just trying to be as independent as. I mean, who here, right? Whose parents take them around in here by a show of hands? Like, whose parents take them places? Okay. Anyone here ride the like little commuter bus? Great. Good. Anyone take Uber? Awesome. What am I missing? Carpooling? Biking, walking? Okay. Great. Awesome.
See, those are things. And the next slide, when you said emotionally healthy, I think just ties into so much stuff.
Yeah.
We know if you're emotionally healthy, you know, you feel a sense of purpose. what is your sense of purpose? What is your sense of accomplishment? It's different for everybody. But getting a hold of that and realizing that and keeping yourself in that way healthy emotionally, so you're a happy person, and you're responsible for your own happiness.
Yep, so that one was just a reminder to, get involved, and also to fill your own cup, because we can't fill someone else's unless ours is filled. And so, do you know how to do that yourself, or do you rely on other people to do that for you? I'm not sure. We have 16 of 22, so do we?
I think we have
Would
to
this,
wrap, don't we?
yeah, do we need
you
to
want
wrap
us to
up?
stop? Yes.
Okay.
And then you have the PowerPoint then?
I'm going to share that.
Good, because there is a nice example of,
Yeah.
just kind of moving towards.
Yeah, this one right here.
Independence and something, is something as, as every day, if you will, as a medical appointment. How do we start doing step by step towards having someone do more of it on their own and balancing that, and not just jump. Again, I think we get in habits of doing 4. And as long as we do 4, people don't become more independent. They become more dependent. And so we have to start to be thinking about baby steps that are comfortable, one step at a time.
And I apologize that the handout doesn't match this, but as a teacher, I went in, I changed things last minute, so sorry, forgive me. Sorry. But anyway, yes, you'll have access to it. Gosh, there was so much to share, and I know we have limited time, but thank you for your time and inviting
Yes,
us
thank
tonight.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you, Gwen. We will go through all of our speakers first and presenters, and then we'll hopefully have some time left for questions and answers so that we can open it up for whoever you want to ask questions of. I do want to say, walking alongside Peter as he went through the SITE program, well, first I want to say that this slide was my very favorite of your entire presentation because it's such a visual of how you can move from one to the other, as far as you can see the level of independence increasing with each scenario. But walking alongside Peter as he did SITE, I think one of the most encouraging things for me was they have in one of their slides it said explore, make a plan, teach, and then fade. And she used the word fading several times. And when we're talking about fading, we're figuring out how to take ourselves as a support person less and less as a key player and putting more and more responsibilities onto our self-advocates. So I think that's a super important part. The other thing I would say about SITE is they have a great way. We're going to have several presenters talk about technology, but the way that they incorporate some of the technology, whether it's apps or alarms or just, like she said, being accountable to communication, being able to answer their phone and answer text, and so that we always know where they're at and how things are going. Those are big key steps. So next, we are going to welcome Christy Hayes. Christy works as the Director of Services at the Village of Marici, which some of you may know about here in town, and I know that her presentation is going to share a little bit more about that, so I'm not going to go too much into detail, except to share that Christy has been working with the Village of Marici since 2015. She began as a direct support person to her sister Angie, who is also here with her this evening. Christy is now the Director of Services and has worked with the village to increase the number of people they serve and to increase the number of coaches that they employ to support those individuals. And then Angie, who's also with her, is actually had her own apartment at the village since 2014. So Christy is going to do the main part of our presentation, but we may have an opportunity for Angie to speak or share some of her insights as living in the community on her own and what that's meant to her. So I think we're moving now from kind of the post-secondary part where we're talking about some structured things, and now looking at, Christy's going to share a little bit more about what it means to kind of live independently in that residential setting, and maybe some of the things that we need to work on to prepare to work in, or to live in that environment. Thank you, Christy.
Hello, thank you for having me, and my sister Angie here. So, as Michelle said, I'm from the village of Marici. The village of Marici is, we kind of focus on three different areas. Direct services, so we do provide services through the Medicaid waiver and affordable housing, and then the health and community programs. So, the Village of Marici was founded in 2005. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we're approved Medicaid waiver service provider through BEADS and FSSA, and then accredited by CARF. So we really kind of have the belief that community is more than just a place. So, it's engagement and accessibility, walkability, transportation, home management, all of these things, put together make that community. So we really feel that, all of those things are important to build, a good community. So the Village of Marici is kind of two separate organizations, if you will. We have the Village of Marici as a service provider, and then we have the Marici Village Apartments. And I'll go into the Marici Village Apartments here. This is the site that we're at. So we're located on the Fort Benjamin Harrison campus on the northeast side of Indianapolis. We opened in 2014. We have a very large waiting list, interest list for the units. So we are, as far as we know, I think we're the only model like this in the state of Indiana. So we have 20 apartments. Currently, we have 4 two-bedroom apartments and 16 one-bedroom apartments. And then we, as the Village of Marici, as a service provider, provide the support to the individuals that live there if they choose us as their service provider. So we have a commercial training kitchen. We're very proud of the residents that have chosen to live at the Marici Village Apartments and the success that they've had in their community. We have almost everyone is working. We have one person who's chosen to retire, so he's not working, and then we have one that's volunteering, but everyone else is working in the community, and many of them are working in the immediate Fort Benjamin Harrison community and usually walking to jobs or, or working very close, to that area. So it's very accessible for them. Like I said, we're kind of a one-of-a-kind community for adults with disabilities, and every apartment in that building is set aside for adults with disabilities except for one, and we do have a live-in manager. That she's not required to be there 24 hours a day or anything like that, but she is just available. So. And then the apartments rents are based on income. So all of the apartments are ADA accessible. We have many common areas: exercise room, multi-purpose room, library, office space, laundry room, courtyards, all of those things. So so we have lots of people who are very involved and hang out in the multi-purpose room with a big group of people, and then we have some people that choose to, be on their own and be in their own apartment and not engage as much, socially. But those opportunities are there, if they do choose. So, the Village of Marici is a service provider. We provide services through the Family Support Waiver and the CIH waiver. So currently we support around 64 people and another additional 40, including book clubs and different programs and things like that. So, so you can kind of read a little bit about that. All right, so this is Angie.
How to vote?
My name is Angie Kane, and I am 35 years old, and I live in my own apartment about 5 years. I am being involved in Special Olympics. I do track and field, softball, bowling, and cone toss, and swimming. And I do outdoor activities like walking club, yoga, and we do fundraisers too. And I am a staff at the Down Syndrome, Indiana. I like all my coaches, and they've been taking, I've been doing my meal plans, and then we go to the grocery store on Tuesdays, and we do I do tours around my apartment, and I do have a best buddy, and her name is Ashley, and we've been going out. We've been going out to dinner and the state fair, and then we're going to the plays and concerts. Well, I used to live with my parents at Indianapolis, Indiana, and right now I am living on my own in an apartment for about 5 years at Lawrence, Indiana. My name is Angie, and I am home.
So Angie lived with her parents, like she said, until she was 30 years old. So with our parents, I guess. And it was a pretty big deal for her to get her own apartment and move out on her own and everything. So you mind if I tell a little bit more about you?
That's fine.
So Angie had everything in place. She had jobs, she had services, she had best buddies, she was involved in Special Olympics, all of those things. But Angie had a very limited social life. She, would hang out with us as family, and she would have those intermittent, I guess, opportunities with, the different activities and things, but nothing was very consistent. So she didn't have a lot of opportunities to build a whole lot of friendships. And when Angie moved into the apartments, she was able to develop those friendships and really become, friends with, all of the people that live there, and then all of the people that also, that we support in the community that visit our the building, or just, different activities and things. So it completely changed her life, and it really completely changed our lives as well, as her family. I mean, it was just, a dream come true for her to have her own apartment, and then, for us as well. So, because all we ever wanted for her was to, have everything that we have, have friends and hopefully a husband someday, and all of those things that all of us do. So, would you agree with all of that?
Okay.
Agree? Okay. So, these are some of the goals of independence, and I loved your presentation. It was spot on, and fully agree with everything that you guys talked about. Building independence is the most important thing you can do to be able to be successful living on your own. So it is just so important, down to the little things, just, we'll talk, I guess, a little bit more about that, but just building those routines and building that independence is so important, and that self-confidence. So I loved how you guys touched on the self-confidence. That's huge. Just every little step can build that. Just a little bit every day counts. So, let me see here. So, So these are just some independent living skills that we kind of put together. All of these, areas are definitely very important areas, to make sure that you are prepared to move out of usually your parents' home and to get your own apartment. So sleep, going to bed at appropriate times, waking up and using your cell phone in the morning for alarm clocks and learning how to do that on your own and not having that parent support. So those are all very important. Organization, using a schedule and being able to organize that on your own, and not having your parents or sometimes a coach or whatever telling you, it's time to do this, and taking that initiative and doing that on your own. So Angie manages her own schedule, right?
Yes.
All by yourself. So we're not, helping her with that. So those are just some tips there. Safety is very important. So, when you're thinking about living on your own, safety is probably number one on the parent list. And, just making sure that you are able to make those decisions, knowing how to, what to do in case of an emergency, and all of those things, allowing strangers in your home. So, if someone comes and knocks on your door, do you answer, if you're not sure who it is? And do you let them in your home, if they come to the door, those kind of things. So, and not sharing personal information, that's big. So, knowing who to share personal information with, who not to share personal information with. So we do a lot of role playing with our coaches and things. So you'd say you practice that quite a bit, right? So those are, kind of those skills that are just so important when you do decide to live on your own. Financial, having that practice before you live on your own is always great. To understand, how to use your debit card, credit card, cash, how to get that change and things like that. I'd say one of the biggest things that we work on, our coaches work on, would be meal planning and kitchen skills and all of those things. So you have to eat, right? 3 times a day usually. So, learning how to cook on your own is so important. So that's something that you've learned very well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Angie makes all her own meals every day out of fresh food, no processed food. She packs her own lunches, does all of that on her own. So can you tell them some of your favorite things to cook?
Yes. I like to make healthy foods. Like I've been.
It's okay. I can hear you.
Yeah, so I have been eating healthy foods, and I've been eating like vegetable and chicken and fish and everything I can make and easy, and sometimes my coach also helps too, and I do go to the store every Tuesday, and I do my own grocery list, and my coach helps me throughout my grocery list, what I need to get, and like my sister Christy says, I love to be independent, and it feels great to be independent at the village of Mariti, and it feels like a dream come true. Village of Amuchi is my new home now, and I love all my coaches, and I love all my friends who lives at the village, and my teammates, and I am involved in Special Olympics, and I want to say I love to be independent at the village, and I get to see Christy every day. And I say thank you.
All right, thanks, Ange. So as you can tell, Angie really loves living on her own and in her own apartment. So it's quite funny. We have a lot of family get-togethers, and sometimes Angie joins us, and sometimes Angie chooses to stay with her friends. So it's her choice, and just like we all have, and so we have to respect those. And sometimes that's just the way it is. So. All right, so just a few more, tips as far as, living on your own is just developing those routines, and, the personal hygiene is so important. Having those habits in place before you move into your own apartment is so important. Making sure that, that those are all already set, and you just don't have to, worry about it. And of course, household upkeep. A lot of times, this can be difficult for parents, to give those household chores over. But it is so important to build those skills before you move into your own place, and you have those skills. Laundry is huge. The laundry room for the first 2 years we opened our building was very interesting, and it can still be a very interesting place. You just wouldn't believe all the things that you can do with your laundry, but yeah, it's just learning how to do that, before you move out is definitely important. And then mobility and community, learning your community and how to get around is so important. The village of Marici is in a very walkable area, so we have lots of restaurants and banks and centers, community centers and theater and, nail salons. And I mean, plenty of things to access within walking distance. So, building that self-advocacy is just so important. So, being able to talk about their learning disabilities or difficulties or disability, and understanding rights and responsibilities. So understanding those is so important, and then social skills, of course. So introducing yourself and all of those skills are just so important to have in place before you're out there on your own. Just a few pictures of Angie and her friends doing things with coaches, without coaches. We have just a quick story about the lady over here on the left-hand side. She is mopping her floor. You can see she's in a wheelchair. When she moved into her own apartment, she did not have any household skills at all. She had no desire to do them. And then, actually, it was during the pandemic. She had almost 24-hour support, so she had, staff there and not day program. People weren't going anywhere. So it gave us a lot of time to develop those skills. And now, completely independent on all of those living skills. She won't let her mom come in and clean. She gets very upset when she does. She, takes a lot of pride in cleaning her own apartment. And it's just been wonderful to see that growth and to show what she can do, so just never, limit someone, you never know until you try it, right? So just always, always encouraging and encouraging, everyone to do those things on their own. So we have a motto with our coaches that do with, not for. So our coaches are always working along with the people we support. That's how we train them. Always increasing those independent living skills and not doing for them. So that's just, just so important. And everyone takes a lot of pride in, in those skills that they learn. So just a few, programs that we have at the Village of Marici. We have, like financial literacy, book clubs, nutrition classes, walking club, yoga, just different programs that we offer, usually in the evenings because it's a pretty quiet place during the daytime because most people are working or out, out and about. So most of those programs, are in the evening, but just different social opportunities, that we offer there. So that's our courtyard area. We have grills that they're electric grills that we use out in the patio area, and this is taken at one of the nutrition classes, just learning how to use those grills and stuff. So another picture of garden. This is Garden Club actually, and they are using the basil that they picked. Do you remember that, Angie? What you made out of the basil?
I think that was cooking class.
Is it cooking class?
Yeah.
Okay. I think because that's Marcia right there, so.
And that's Therese.
Yeah. I think they were making pesto, if I remember.
Yeah, pesto.
Yeah, out of the basil. So Garden Club is pretty popular. Lots of different, opportunities to learn how to use the produce that they produce in the garden. So that is basically all of my presentation. So thanks.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Angie. As you can see, Village of Marici serves the same population that ILADD does. We offer some of the same activities, and some of our goals are the same. I do know, I just want to say that the Village, ILADD's book club actually blossomed out of a Village of Marici book club that the Easter Days have led for, is it 10 years? More than that. And that, then they developed that into the ILADD book club, and then of course we have continued to expand our programming as well. I think one of my favorite things about the Village is that I love that they call their support staff coaches. When I am not in my ILADD job and I'm in my behavior consulting job, I always tell staff that their job is to be the biggest cheerleader and encourager for our self-advocates and encouraging them to be as independent as possible. So I love the do with, not for as well. So thank you both. And then our last presenter, I have to say I'm also very impressed. Not only is Christy a sister, but our next presenter is also a sister. But Paula LeMaster, she is a lifelong advocate for the community of persons with IDD. She has spent most of her professional career dedicated to supporting and advocating for equal rights, respect, and inclusion of individuals with IDD. And her favorite saying is, "We do not know what we do not know." And based on that, as she helped her sister to navigate her independence. She was drawn into a company called Safe at Home, where she is currently employed, and she is now the community advocate for them. And I will let her share more about that and the services and supports that they offer.
Well, again, thank you so much for inviting me. Patty and I were actually here in October to share what remote supports is, and it's just such a wonderful newly added service under the Medicaid waiver system. Like Michelle was saying, I had no idea remote supports was even a service on the waiver system, and here I am thinking, oh, well, I'm a pretty good advocate for my sister until I seen this position on the job board. And so I instantly looked at it, and then the video that I'm going to show here in just a minute is I watched that and I'm like, what is this company? I'm not even sure what it's about, but it is a amazing video of the services. I don't think anybody can really explain and have the impact of how Emma's story is and how it's explained in the video. But we are on the Medicaid waiver. We are funded through both the family support and the CIH waiver. So that is also a very good service for all of you that would like to join our remote support services. Next. Typically, when you hear remote supports for this field, you think, oh, it's the electronic monitoring. Safe and Home is not monitoring. We are a service, not a thing. We do have devices that are tools to help support the individuals, but we are not Big Brother looking into your homes. It's all just tools that help us support you help to support you as you're learning to live independently and growing your skill set.
Emma is a 24-year-old autistic. She has a seizure disorder, and she is what we refer to as an unreliable speaker. So she has some speech.
Have a nice. It's been nice day.
She's developing more and more as she gets older and is more fluent with the letterboard and her communication. She is getting more kind of organic speech, which is actually what she wants to say. But like a lot of autistics, a lot of what she says is not what she wants to say.
Hey
Emma, hello, good morning.
Nothing said.
Say good morning.
Nothing said.
You think so?
Early diagnosis, it was very intense. There's just no other way around it. It wasn't really very easy to leave the home. We had 2 other children, and she seemed to be in distress a lot of the time. There was a lot of screaming, and she had no reliable way to communicate with us. She was having seizures, and she was very unhappy, very distressed, and so were we. She had never been formally taught in school, and one of her early responses to us was that, I have been listening all of my life. Yeah, it's overwhelming to a parent, right? I remember the first Christmas after we started using the letterboard, our speech therapist, Elizabeth, asked, what do you want for Christmas? And she said, oh, my parents have given me everything I need or want. What I'd really like is for my mother to read to me. But the minute we knew and she made that request, the journey began, and it was very exciting. And I asked her if she could ever see herself living in her own apartment, and she said, yes, that's absolutely what I want for my life. I want that life. And that was when we had to start thinking of everything differently. Because after someone communicates something to you, we needed to make it happen. We need to deliver on that promise. So we didn't have a lot of this figured out when we moved in, but we kind of made the jump and then we figured it out. And fortunately, early in that journey, we came across our friends at Safe and Home. So if we have someone who does not talk, or is not just going to pick up the phone and call us, we have to have a way to be able to check on her. She has to be able to reach out to us to let us know she doesn't feel good, she's out of milk, she needs groceries, she wants to see us, she's bored, she's lonely, whatever. So we knew that we needed to set up a system to do that. So we knew we needed some type of ring technology at the door. We needed mom or dad or a caregiver to get a ping to know she was safe to open the door. We wanted to know what was going on at night. We now know that when we get our report from Safe and Home, that it is not uncommon for Emma to be up 20 times between 2 and 4 a.m. Doing I don't know what. They're not cameras, which is wonderful. It protects her privacy. But we know she's up and out of her bed and doing something in the bedroom. So if she's having more seizures the next day or she's really unregulated, I now know why. The main thing we're using our Safe and Home tablet for now is for check-ins. She is used to hearing the ring, having her go over, touch the tablet, and seeing one of her friends at Safe and Home, greet her and her to get comfortable with them and have a conversation. But what we're hoping for Emma is it's going to be an opportunity for her to reach out if there is an emergency. Emma and her friends should be able to go out for a walk by themselves. They would not need us to always be going with them, that they're learning safety on the streets. But with all of them wearing the device, we know if anything goes wrong, we could always find them with the GPS system. I don't even think I understood what a big deal it is for someone to take care of their own medications. She's mastered this huge task that she needs to do to be able to live independently. So the device goes off with a beeper. She may or may not get up to it right away, but the beeper will go on until she addresses the medication issue. And mom or dad get to continue to do whatever they need to do wherever they are. We cannot fake the joy that she is experiencing in her life. She is living a self-determined life. This is what she wants, and she's doing it, and we could not be prouder. I would encourage families to talk to Safe and Home, do it earlier, and get this technology in place so the parents and the child, when they're ready to transition out, it would already be in place and they would have that confidence to do it.
Like I said, nobody can speak Emma's story better than her and her mother. They are in service. They live in Virginia, and Donna actually started a similar organization to ILADD and is funding apartment buildings so that there is a community for the individuals in Virginia. It's a huge organization, and Safe and Home is actually partnering with our Stomping Ground, which is the organization, and it's just amazing. That's the whole drive. That's what we're all here speaking about, is providing the path to independence. And so with Safe and Home, our mindset is that remote supports is consistent and reliable communication. We all know that that in today's world, there is a staffing shortage, and there's so many individuals that are going without the assistance that they should be having because there's such a shortage of staff and all the service lines. So our staff we're remote, we're always there. We're available 24/7, and it's a consistent and reliable communication. When the individual wants help, if they have a question, touch a button. Hey, I'm here. I would like to go outside. Is the weather appropriate? Is my jacket? Should I just wear a jacket? Can I go out without a jacket? Anytime, any question, we're available. So that also removes the in-person in your home with you. It's you're independent, and you do not have to rely on a physical person being. It is intrusive to have somebody else in your life. This is an avenue to remove the extra person in your life and be independent. And we always say it's support on demand. We have the Geocom is what Emma was using out in the community, but we also have a tablet. So it's when you want assistance, when you feel like you would like to talk to somebody, when you feel like you have, a question, when you're on the job and you do not want, an extra person beside you as your job coach. You've graduated from that, but yet, do I need to ask my supervisor this question? It promotes the self-advocates to use their voice as well. A few of the typical Solutions that we typically work with individuals is the medication management, like Emma was showing, overnight support. There's so many individuals that are perfectly capable of being alone at night, but because their support plan says that they need somebody there just in case for that emergency call, we're there. We're there in case there is an emergency. We're there to be able to communicate and help them get to the appropriate resources that they need. Visitor safety is huge, huge. The devices we use, you can get them at big box stores, but it's the technology behind it, and it's the fact that we are always there monitoring and making sure that there is no issues. If the doorbell rings, the ring can be programmed to a parent. It can go directly to our remote supports. It can go to any number of people, so you can see what's going on and actually communicate. If the individual inside is too afraid to say, hey, go away, we're there to help support that so that the visitor safety is there. Kitchen safety, again, we have the stove sensors so that, you're learning to cook. How many times have you walked away from the stove and, oh my gosh, I forgot my meal's there, now it's ruined. So it's all these safeguards so that you can learn the independent skills to live independently. We also do seizure management. Oftentimes you have no idea if my sister suffers from seizures. We don't know if she's having seizures at night unless we hear her. Our solutions are like a bed sensor that instantly notifies whoever is on the receiving end of the notification, hey, there's seizure activity, let's go make sure she's okay. The emotional, and these are the big ones as the advocate outreach. Like, it's so important to be able to have, no matter your age, we're funded from 14 and above on the waiver, but everybody has age limits where you hit, and you want to be independent. Is it just being at home after school by myself? Is it riding the bus to the library and then coming home? We have all these things set up so that there's supports there and the safeguards there that our loved ones are safe, but we know and we're secure that they are safe. And we have the reminders and we have all the notifications of if something is going on, then we know right away. And this is how we do all of our consultations, and our service is person-centered. That's why they're in the middle. Then the other elements are the tools that we use to help keep them safe. Weekly reports. Let's go back to my sister with the seizure management. I could get a report, a weekly report, a monthly report that I can take to the doctors with us to say, hey, this is the activity that's been happening. We may need to adjust our medications. Some of the assistive technology is like this GeoComm. It's like a cell phone without being able to see anybody. You press a button, instantly goes to, you can have up to 7 numbers on this. And as soon as you press a button, first it'll text, I need help, I need help, I need help. And then whoever replies is the one that gets to speak back to me, and it's a two-way communication. So if you're walking to the library and, oh no, do I need to turn left or right? Right away, you call it. And also, GPS, you can, as a loved one or the support, you can call this number at any time and you know exactly where they're at. And then we have the sensor technology. I do want to reiterate, these are sensors only. It's temperature controlled. There's 0 cameras. We do not monitor that way. These are in the home so that we can track normal activity, and anything outside of that normal activity is flagged so that we can notify, hey, they've been in the bathroom for an hour. Typically, maybe a half hour's max, but now it's an hour. Now we're checking in, hey, Sarah, are you okay? Do you need help? Or do you just need more time? That way we have instant notification of, possibilities of things going wrong. And then, of course, the remote support staff. With the tablet, it's a visual human contact. several of our clients are like, yes, I love to call my friends. If I need to talk to them, I call them. If I need help, my friends help me. It's a partnership. And this just shows how the whole system works. The little dots in the room are sensors, and the bed, is there a bed weight in there, or the chair sensors? So it's just all of these devices are in the home, but it's all just tracking so that we can show the remote support staff, okay, this is where we're at, and everything's good in the home, and there's no worries. And I do want to bring up again that our service is, you can have it scheduled for med management if you need a visual of the medication being consumed, or it's just when needed, support on demand, when the individual wants help, when they want assistance. So it's the least intrusive form of supports. And because I thought we were only supposed to be speaking for 15 minutes, so mine's pretty short. These are the contacts. That's mine at the top. And then Patty Gant is with me this evening. She's in the area. And then we have a newer Steve Boyer, he's actually on the Facebook Live because he lives up north and was in the whole ice zone. So he stayed home safe. But these three numbers, if you need any more information or have any questions or would like additional conversations, please reach out to us. We are all about making sure everybody has all the information and all the choices to make an informed decision on their care. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paula. We are going to now offer the floor to anybody that might have any questions. I will say that each of the presenters, if you have specific questions about their programs or the services that they offer, they are going to be able to stick around for a few minutes. And I know Paula has a table back there where she is going to actually be able to answer some specific questions about the services that they offer. But if anybody has any questions for the presenters in regards to how you start on this journey, or questions or challenges along the journey that you want to ask, we are going to open that up for anybody that might have questions to ask.
The Safe at Home program, does it have to be, you can divide it up on your needs specifically, right? So if you just need an evening service, like say 12 to 8.
So the question is, if you just need services during a specific hour or part of the day, how is that determined?
Not like 24 hours a day.
Oh,
not like,
yes.
Yeah.
No, our services are completely based on what the individual would like and needs. No, we do not have two clients that have the exact same service. It's completely tailored to your needs, your wants, and your goals.
So the service hours would be determined based on your needs.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay.
It starts at 2 hours, correct?
Yeah, but if you need, but the support on demand is 24 hours. So let's say you have somebody that needs a medication and we just check in at 8 a.m. and watch them take their medication, that's 1 hour. Then that's all that the waiver or the provider would be billed. But we're still available the other 23 hours. And
Okay.
we are not billing just because they make a phone call to us or we make a phone call to them. That's not the way it works. So, and when we bill the waiver directly, all the equipment is included.
Okay. Great.
How does it, what does it cost? I mean, what's your units? How do you build that?
So.
I'm just thinking in the context of a family support waiver with,
Oh, geez.
where you only have so many dollars and maybe you have some people supports, but you have, how do you work
Good
that out?
question, Gwen, and I know you because we used to do person-centeredness 100 years ago. I've been in the field 30 years. So, great question. The way the waivers billed, we could bill directly, which is $13.62 an hour. And that is, so for the family support waiver, that's going to take up a chunk of the waiver. The state of Indiana is offering $500 outside of the waiver because they are really looking at tech first, because our staffing crisis is never going to go away. That's not going to happen. So we will, that was a great question. So that is difficult on the family support waiver. On the CIH, obviously, it's a different scenario. The other thing is I'm right now in partnership with Insights, and I think the last time I saw you, Gwen, I was at Insights. Yeah, I was Patty Scheitler, and so it throws you off. I'm Patty Gann now. But anyway, so we are in partnership with Insights. So what we're doing is we will bill the provider, and the provider then will bill the waiver. So we do that at a different rate, and we form a partnership with them. So it can look a lot of different ways. I will say the state is 100% behind us. Ohio is a great model for the way they're using tech, and I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of grant money and a lot of changes because of the staffing crisis for folks to try out remote supports and see how that can work with your individual, making them more independent.
Well, one way I can see that too is like, there's folks that, go to bed at night and sleep well. But you want somebody there in case.
Right.
So you got that, and they have to stay awake, and it's hard to staff that overnight.
Stay away.
And all of that.
Stay away.
Right.
Yeah.
Stay away.
They're holding down the furniture. But that was the model when we closed down the institutions. The model was 24/7, 3 people living in a home. And that's not necessary. So we are replacing a lot. I don't like to say replace staff, but we are in the homes doing the overnights, the staffing gaps, things like that. It's really helping providers out because they can reallocate that staff to during the day, going grocery shopping, doing all the fun things that Angie talked about. So it can look different.
Yeah. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for you too. The device that the girl was carrying around the community, that can become a two-way, could you compare and contrast that and the use of a regular cell phone?
Well, yes. So the question was the GeoCom, the little device that Emma was walking around with. She was asking how I can compare and contrast that to a cell phone. Obviously, some people have some limitations using a cell phone, so this is just one button, and it immediately shows you their location, and you can immediately talk like a two-way walkie-talkie. So for folks that have more difficulties with utilizing a cell phone, that's a good piece of equipment. I use it for when you start to get anxious and worried and upset, then you aren't able to maybe make that phone call. Again, it's a quick button. It's on your nightstand. It's on your watch. It's in your pocket. So that doesn't necessarily replace a cell phone, but I have a lot of individuals that don't even have cell phones, nor can they afford them. So this is another piece of equipment that could help them utilize their community and feel safe. Does that make sense? Okay. I think there's someone out here. I don't know if she could.
Yep.
You talked a lot about the Medicaid waiver funding, and you then augment whatever Medicaid doesn't pay with private care resources.
So I believe the question is if we aren't utilizing the waiver funding.
If it won't be all covered by the waiver, can they supplement?
Oh, yes. Okay, so like if you're on the family support waiver and maybe you're looking for some additional support that your waiver would max out, there would be private funding. We can try through traditional Medicaid, through a prior approval process, but that's all gets very hectic, and the turnaround isn't real quick. We have seen budgets expand, and like I said, I'm working with the state right now at looking at some grant money for the folks that are on the family support waiver so they are able to utilize remote supports. And we're also looking at dropping that age. I think we're one of the only states that have the 14 and over. I think the state didn't want people to use it as a babysitter. We all know that's not what we're doing. So I know that I get calls all the time from people with kiddos, younger kiddos, sneaking out at night or getting out at night or getting out of their bed, a lot of concerns, and this service doesn't cover them under the waiver. So that's even something they're looking at. So we are just
that's going to change a lot. I really feel by July, there's going to be a lot more opportunities for people on that family support. Of course you can. Sorry, did I do the long? Sorry, I'm sorry. Yes, of course you can private pay. I'm sorry, you can always private pay. Always, always, always. I know all, yeah, I'm sorry. I was trying to help you not private pay. That's where my brain goes.
I have some comments, questions in regards to the IUPUI site program. I think it's a fascinating program. So just some general questions maybe that you could work into your program. What do you have to do to get into the program? Are there qualifications, cost, age range? How many years is the program? Because you show first-year students, second-year students. And do you push this program out to local school systems so that they're aware of it? Funding, where do you get it? Can you team up with the local school systems to get funding? Because that's, at least when my daughter went through, part of the responsibility of the school system was to transition students. And so,
Well, I'll just answer a couple of questions.
Can I say real quick, just for time limits, is it okay if we connect you with them?
Yeah.
well,
After?
I want everybody to know about
Yes,
it. So,
and one of the things that I definitely want to do is we typically, after these kind of things, try to provide connections, links, resources. I got on their website today, it has a list of things you need to know to prepare for site and prepare for the transition after high school. If you want to speak to anything, Gwen, but I know that that information is available out there.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that this program, people who apply and get in have to enroll in IPS. And the way it's funded is Indianapolis Public Schools funds it. And that's who pays Maggie's salary and our other teacher's salary and our staff. So that's how it was developed, was to utilize our existing staff positions and just move a couple of them out of a high school, basically, and put them there. So that's how it's funded. No, it doesn't cost some out-of-pocket for people.
So IPS has two post-secondary programs, our program and then one at Community East. So we have, it's a 2-year program, trying to answer some of your questions. Well, one, maybe two, it just depends on, again, everything's very individualized for students.
Students outside of IPS can apply. That there are lists. We have a lot. We try very hard to communicate clearly about, how to match up. Is this the program for you? Because some people, the first question out of your mouth is, do they really have to ride the Indigo bus? I really don't want my son or daughter on the bus. The answer is, this is not the program for you, because this is one of the main things we're teaching. So when we do articulate a lot of those things, but we do accept applicants from outside of IPS, as long as they're at least 18 years old. Students do better when they're a little bit older, they're more mature. 19, but then if they get accepted, then they enroll in IPS.
I think it's a fascinating program. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, it really is. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yes, thank you for answering some of those questions. And we will make sure that you are connected with all of the information that we have to connect you with site. I would just want to kind of summarize, I guess, by saying there's any number of checklists out there of skills that we need to build and skills we need to work on as we're building our independence. But as everyone, I think, said tonight, there's no one clear plan. There's no one clear service that's provided for everybody. We just need to identify for your self-advocate and for your family, what are the goals that you can work on and how can you start that process. I just want to mention that as far as ILADD goes, we have a flyer over here with some of our upcoming programs, so feel free to grab one of those on your way out. Our next informational seminar and Family Connect that we have is going to be held in April. And we referenced it a lot tonight when we talked about emotional wellness. It's going to be about mental health awareness and finding that balance in life, whether it's nutrition and spiritual and mental and all of those things, how to combat some of the depression and loneliness that happens in our adults once they do leave the structured school settings and different activities. So I appreciate everybody coming tonight. I want to give a special thanks to Jill Sima and Lisa Hurtubise for organizing, creating, and putting all this on. I get to stand up here only because they won't stand up here. But they are the powerhouses behind this. And again, a thank you to Dominic for all the virtual support. I do want to say, Paula, we can definitely tell you're a little more tech savvy than the rest of us because you made your video work all by yourself. I'm just going to give you credit there. We have survey, if you can fill that out for us. And then Tom Easterday has a closing statement for us.
Well, thank you all for coming to our Family Connect meeting, the follow-up to our informational seminar. And thank you to all of you who have joined us on Facebook Live. I would encourage all of you, if you haven't checked out ILADD's Facebook page, I encourage you to do that, to see the smiling faces of all the advocates. We sent out today to about 1,500 people. If you're not on our email list, we'd love to get you on there. We sent out our 2021 President's Report today, and we are now serving 6 times as many people as we did in 2020. So we've expanded greatly, and I appreciate all the work, very hard work of our program committee and Michelle. I wanted to come up here so we can give them all a round of applause. So again, thank you for joining us all, and we look forward to seeing you at future ILADD programs and activities. And also, if you'd like to volunteer, you can always get a hold of Michelle at program.manager@iladdinc.org. Thank you all very much.